Welcome to our sanctuary of stories and silence. I am so glad you are here with me tonight. Before we embark on this journey into the past, I wonder, where are you right now? And what time does the clock show in your part of the world? Please tell me in the comments below. Reading your words brings me such joy and connects us across the miles. Now, it is time to leave the weight of the day behind you. Take a deep, slow breath, and as you exhale, let the tension melt from your shoulders. Forget the noise of the modern world. Let your mind drift like a leaf on a gentle stream. Close your eyes or soften your gaze. Tonight, we travel back to the year 1227, to the vast, endless steppes of Mongolia. The great Khan, the shaker of the world, has taken his last breath. A small, chosen unit is tasked with a burden heavier than mountains. They move under the pale moonlight, carrying a secret that must never be found. Who are these silent guardians? What thoughts race through their minds as they carry their master to oblivion? Can the earth truly hide the one who conquered it all? The wind is rising across the plains. It whispers ancient secrets to those who listen. Are you ready to join their silent march? Let yourself fade into the shadows of history. The journey begins now. The air is thin and cold here, tasting of frost and dry ancient earth. The only sounds are the muffled hooves of their horses against the hard ground, and the rhythmic creaking of leather saddle straps. 40 chosen warriors ride in a tight, disciplined formation. Their faces are hardened like weathered stone, unreadable in the shifting shadows. In the center of the group, a simple wooden cart moves slowly. It is covered completely by a heavy, dark felt blanket made from coarse yak wool. Beneath that rough blanket lies the body of the man who united the warring tribes. The moon hangs high above, a silent silver eye watching their slow progress. Its light paints the endless grasslands in shades of deep indigo and charcoal gray. At the very front rides Subutai, the legendary strategist, his back straight as a lance, though his posture is rigid and commanding. His mind is a storm of memories. His gloved hand grips the worn leather, reins tighter than necessary. The wind, the eternal wind of the steppe, plays a mournful melody through the tall, dry grass. It sounds like the hushed weeping of 1,000 forgotten mothers. They must not be seen by any living eye. Any soul they encounter on this forbidden path must be silenced forever. This is the final, absolute order of the great Khan. He who commanded millions in vibrant life now commands absolute silence in death. A horse snorts quietly, pushing a cloud of white vapor into the freezing air. The smell of warm horse sweat mixes oddly with the metallic tang of the night cold. The horizon is limitless here, a flat line separating the dark earth from the darker sky. Only the toughest grasses survive in this soil, their roots digging deep for hidden moisture. Just as these warriors have dug deep for loyalty over the long decades of war. This journey is not a march of triumph. It is a solemn pilgrimage into oblivion. Minutes stretch into agonizing hours, marked only by the slow, wheeling shift of the stars overhead. The iron tip of a spear glints momentarily in a stray beam of moonlight. A younger guard, Batu, swallows hard against the persistent lump in his throat. He grew up hearing tales of the Khan as a god walking among men. Now, he finds himself guarding a fragile, mortal shell. The fragility of life contrasts sharply with the permanence of the vast land around them. The intense cold seeps through their thick fur coats, touching their very bones. The cart wheels groan softly over a patch of uneven, hidden stones. Every head in the unit turns instantly toward the sudden sound. The silence here is sacred. Breaking it feels like a profound betrayal. Subutai raises a single hand, bringing the entire column to a slow, grinding halt. He tilts his head, listening intently to something beyond the normal human range of hearing. Even the wind seems to hold its breath for a long, suspended moment. What does the great general hear in the emptiness? Is it a wolf pack, tracking a scent across the plains, or a lost traveler unaware of their impending doom? After a long, tense pause that stretches the nerves, he slowly lowers his hand. The procession moves forward again, even slower and quieter than before. They are carrying history itself on that cart, and it is a paralyzing burden. The ground begins to rise almost imperceptibly under the horses' hooves. They are leaving the flattest plains, moving slowly towards the distant foothills. The final resting place is a secret known only to a very few, a secret destined to die with them, buried under the crushing weight of time. They ride on, silent ghosts, escorting a greater ghost into the eternal night. The path narrows significantly as it winds alongside the banks of the Onan River. The water flows black and glossy, moving like liquid obsidian under the star's door. It whispers against the rocky shore, a ceaseless, murmuring prayer without an end. The sound of the river masks the quiet crunch of the horses' hooves on the gravel. Subutai watches the dark water, and his mind drifts uncontrollably to the past. He remembers a day, decades ago, by a river just like this one. Temujin was young then, not yet the Khan, but already carrying a heavy destiny. He had shared a piece of dried meat with his men, breaking it with his own hands. His laughter had been loud then, echoing off the canyon walls like thunder. It is strange to think that such a thunderous voice has been silenced forever. The river continues to flow, indifferent to the passing of kings and conquerors. A night bird calls out from the brush, a sharp, lonely sound. The procession does not flinch. They are statues made of flesh and iron. The air grows damper here, close to the water, carrying the scent of wet moss. Fog begins to curl around the horse's legs, ghostly and white. It looks as if the spirits of the ancestors are reaching up from the earth. They are reaching out to claim their son, to welcome him into the blue sky. The leather of Subudai's saddle creaks rhythmically, a metronome for his thoughts. He adjusts his fur collar, pulling it tighter against the biting dampness. Every shadow that stretches across the path looks like an ambush. But there is no one here. The land has been swept clean of life. The order was clear, complete isolation for the final journey. Even the wild animals seem to have fled, sensing the gravity of this passing. The moon dips briefly behind a ragged cloud, plunging the world into deeper darkness. For a moment, only the sound of the river guides them forward. In that darkness, the presence of the Khan feels stronger, more tangible. It is as if he is still riding among them, watching their formation. Batu. The young guard glances nervously at the covered cart. He imagines he sees the heavy wool blanket move, just a fraction. But it is only the wind, playing tricks on tired, strained eyes. The mind creates phantoms when the heart is heavy with grief and fear. They pass a grove of twisted ancient trees, their branches like skeletal fingers. These trees have stood here since before the Mongols rode the plains. They are silent witnesses to a secret that will change the world all. The cloud passes, and the moonlight returns, washing the world in silver again. The reflection of the moon on the river creates a bridge of light on the water. It looks like a path leading to another world, a world of spirits. The horses lower their heads, fighting the instinct to stop and drink. There is no time for rest, no time for comfort or pause. The destination is still far, hidden deep within the forbidden mountains. The ground begins to change from gravel to soft, pine needle-covered earth. The sound of their movement changes from a crunch to a soft, muffled thud. The scent of pine resin mixes with the smell of the river water. It is a clean, sharp smell, the scent of the wilderness he loved so much. Subutai closes his eyes for a second, inhaling the essence of the land. This is the land that birthed them, and the land that now reclaims them. They move on, a dark vein flowing through the body of the earth. The night is long, and the secrets it holds are heavy to carry. The trees begin to grow taller here, their branches weaving together overhead. They form a thick, natural canopy that blocks out the silver moonlight. The world shrinks down to the small, dark tunnel of the path ahead. The temperature drops noticeably as they ascend the gentle slope of the foothills. It is a dry, biting cold that stings the exposed skin of the face. Subutai signals a slight change in direction with a silent, subtle gesture. They are leaving the known trails, moving into the untouched wilderness. They follow a path that does not exist on any map drawn by men. It is a ghost road, existing only in the memory of the loyal few. A dry twig snaps loudly under a heavy hoof, sounding like a gunshot. Batu flinches visibly, his hand flying to the hilt of his curved saber. His heart hammers against his ribs like a trapped bird in a cage. But there is nothing there, only the vast, indifferent darkness of the woods. The forest feels alive, watching them with 1,000 unseen, ancient eyes. Legend says the spirits of the mountain demand a toll for safe passage. Tonight, the toll is their silence and the crushing weight of their grief. The smell of pine is overpowering here, sharp, resinous, and clean. It fills the lungs, cold and purifying, washing away the dust of the plains. The cart tilts slightly as the terrain becomes more uneven and rocky. Two warriors immediately move to steady it, their movements perfectly synchronized. They handle the rough wood as if it were made of fragile spun glass. Nothing must disturb the eternal sleep of the one who lies inside. The wind cannot reach them here in the deep, sheltered woods. The stillness is absolute, heavy and suffocating like a thick velvet blanket. They are alone in the belly of the world, moving deeper into the void. Time seems to lose its meaning in this endless tunnel of ancient trees. Are they moving forward in space or walking into a vivid dream? The rhythm of the march becomes a hypnotic, repetitive trance. One step, then another, into the deepest heart of the night. The horses breathe heavily, their chests heaving with the effort of the climb. Steam rises from their flanks, invisible in the deep shadows of the forest. A snowy owl takes flight from a branch above, its wings completely silent. It is a white flash in the darkness, a messenger from the spirit world. Subutai does not look up. His eyes are fixed on the invisible road ahead. He knows that to look back is to invite the weakness of sorrow. And tonight, there is no room for weakness, only for duty awe. The forest floor is soft with layers of fallen needles, dampening every sound. It feels as though they are riding on a carpet woven by time itself. The darkness presses against them, a physical weight on their shoulders. Each warrior is an island of thoughts, isolated by the rule of silence. They think of their families, sleeping safely in yurts far away. They think of the battles won and the blood spilled to build an empire. Now, that empire feels distant, like a story told to a child. Here, in the dark, there is only the man, the horse, and the dead. The path begins to steepen, winding its way around a massive granite boulder. The stone glows faintly, reflecting the starlight that filters through the leaves. It stands like a sentinel, guarding the entrance to the sacred lands. They pass it with reverence, bowing their heads slightly in respect. The climb continues, taking them higher into the thin, cold air. They are leaving the world of men behind. Step by silent step, they break through the dense tree line, emerging into the open air again. The sky opens up above them, a vast dome of crushed diamonds. The stars burn with a cold, intense fire in the thin mountain air. Here, on the exposed ridge, the wind returns with a vengeance. It pulls at their heavy fur coats, searching for any small gap. Subutai looks up at the constellation of the hunter, guiding them north. The great Khan always looked to the stars for his guidance. Now, he travels among them, a new star in the eternal black sky. The horses struggle for footing on the loose, shifting slate. Muscles strain and tremble under the weight of the precious cargo. The cart sways gently, a dark cradle rocking on a stony sea. There is a profound loneliness in high places such as this. Ooh. It is a silence so deep it rings in the ears like a distant bell. Batu feels the smallness of his own life against the mountain's size. The peaks around them are jagged teeth, biting into the horizon. They are the ancient bones of the earth, stripped bare by time. Breathing becomes a conscious effort in the thinning atmosphere. Each inhale is a sharp, cold intake of pure, frozen night. They are climbing towards the sacred peak, the forbidden sanctuary. No common man has ever set foot here and lived to tell of it. The isolation creates a strange bond between the living and the dead. They are bound together by this secret, this final duty. A shooting star tears across the darkness, a scratch of white light. It is seen as an omen, a sign from the eternal blue sky. The spirits are watching, waiting to receive their favorite son. Subutai's face remains a mask, but his eyes soften slightly awe. He remembers the warmth of the fires in the camp long ago. He remembers the taste of fermented mare's milk passed in friendship. All those warm moments are gone, replaced by this cold duty. The procession winds around the cliff edge, a fragile thread. Below them, the world is a sea of shadows and sleeping valleys. Above them, the universe waits in silent, glittering judgment. They climb on, suspended between the earth and the heavens o'er. The only way is up, into the heart of the sacred mountain. The path levels out onto a hidden, mist-covered plateau. It is a bowl of silence, cupped by the jagged mountain peaks. Here, the wind finally dies down, respectful of the holy ground. The grass is tall and pale, rippling like water in a phantom lake. Subutai halts the column with a slow, silent raise of his hand. They have arrived at the outer circle of the sanctuary. The air feels charged with a static, almost electric energy. It is the place where the earth reaches up to touch the sky owl. The warriors dismount, their heavy boots touching the sacred soil. They move with slow, deliberate grace, making absolutely no sound. The horses are left behind, guarded by the youngest men. Only the 12 most senior commanders will proceed from here. They unhitch the cart, preparing to carry their master by hand. This final distance must be walked with humble, wary feet. Batu watches them go, his breath misting in the freezing air. He feels a strange mixture of relief and profound aching loss. The burden is no longer his, yet the memory will remain forever. The 12 figures move into the mist, fading like dark silhouettes. They look like shadows returning to the source of all shadow. The cart is left empty, a wooden shell without its pearl. The silence on the plateau is heavy, thick, and almost physical. It presses against the ears, drowning out all wandering thoughts. The moon is lower now, painting long, distorted shadows on the grass. The stars seem to lean closer, witnessing the final act. A deep, vibrating hum seems to rise from the ground itself. Is it the mountains singing, or just the blood rushing in their ears? They carry the great Khan into the final embrace of the earth, returning the dust to the dust and the spirit to the sky. The legend fades into the landscape, becoming rock and soil. The secret is safe here, locked away in the stone forever. The chosen spot lies beneath a solitary, gnarled pine tree. Its roots go deep, drinking from the hidden underground springs. The 12 commanders kneel, their knees sinking into the soft soil. They place the body gently into the dark, waiting earth. There is no golden coffin, only the rough, heavy wool blanket. He who possessed the world now possesses only 6 feet of it. Subutai places a single arrow beside the silent, wrapped form. It is an arrow that has flown true in 100 battles. Now it will rest forever, unstrung and repurposed for peace. The wind sighs through the pine needles above their bowed heads. It sounds like a final, whispered benediction from the sky. They begin to fill the grave, handful by handful of dirt. The sound of soil falling on wool is a soft, dry hush. It is the sound of a book closing. The final page turned. Dust returns to dust, completing the great, eternal circle. The moon watches impassively, a cold witness to the end. No stone will be raised here to mark this sacred place. No name will be carved to tell the future who lies here. His monument is the empire that stretches from sea to sea. His memory is written in the laws of the Yasa. The earth is smoothed over, patted down by Kalauzed, shaking hands. They work with a desperate, focused intensity to hide the scar. Every clod of dirt is crushed, every stone replaced perfectly. Nature must look undisturbed, as if man was never here. Subutai stands, brushing the dark soil from his leather gloves. He looks down one last time at the nondescript ground. Ooh. A single tear tracks a warm line through the dust on his face. It falls to the earth, the only offering left behind. The commanders bow low, their foreheads touching the cold grass. A silent vow is renewed in the heart of each man. They will carry this secret to their own graves, unspoken. They turn away, leaving the great Khan alone with the dark. The walk back to the horses feels longer than the journey up. Their footsteps are heavy, drained of all adrenaline and purpose. The mist swirls around them, closing the curtain on the stage. Back at the perimeter, the other warriors wait in tense silence. They see the empty hands of the commanders, and they know the deed is done. The era of the conqueror has ended. But the work of the night is not yet fully finished. The tracks must be erased, the evidence utterly destroyed. Subutai mounts his horse, his face set like a granite carving. He gives the signal to mount up, a sharp, cutting gesture. The horses sense the shift in mood, stamping their hooves nervously. They will not return the way they came, along the path. They will ride back and forth, weaving a chaotic web. They will trample the earth until the grave is lost forever. 1,000 hooves will churn the soil into a new shape. The history of this night will be written over by chaos. Ooh. The unit begins to move, a storm of iron and muscle. The destruction of the path begins under the fading stars. The ground vibrates under the relentless pounding of 40 horses. They ride in widening circles, crisscrossing their own tracks, all. The tall, pale grass is crushed into the dark, churning mud. It is a dance of oblivion, a ritual of erasure. Subutai rides with a grim intensity, his eyes scanning the earth. He looks for any sign that a grave lies beneath the chaos. But there is nothing left but a field of broken soil. The pristine sanctuary has become a scarred battlefield of hooves. Dust rises in thick, choking clouds, blotting out the moon. It tastes of ancient clay and the sweat of exhausted beasts. The distinct shape of the mound is flattened and lost forever. Nature's delicate pattern has been replaced by brute force. The warriors ride until their horses are frothing with white foam. Home. Their breathing is ragged, matching the rhythm of the gallop. This destruction is an act of supreme loyalty and love. To protect the Khan's rest, they must destroy the beauty of the place. The moon struggles to pierce through the heavy veil of dust. It casts a hazy, copper-colored glow over the scene. Badu pulls his reins, his horse rearing up in the confusion. He feels a strange disorientation in the swirling darkness. Where does the grave start? Where does it end? Even he who dug the earth can no longer tell the spot. The memory of the location is already fading from reality. It is becoming a ghost story, even to those who are writing it. The wind picks up the loose dust, carrying it away to the south. It scatters the evidence across the miles of open steppe. Subutai finally raises his hand, signaling the end of the rite. The thunder of hooves slows to a heavy, labored trot. Silence begins to reclaim the ridge, but it is a different silence now. It is the silence of a secret deeply kept and violently protected. The dust slowly begins to settle back onto the wounded earth. Subutai takes one last, long look at the featureless plateau. He nods once, a final gesture of farewell to the empty air. They turn their horses, heads away from the sacred ground. The descent begins down the steep and treacherous path. Gravity pulls them back towards the world of the living. The adrenaline fades, leaving behind a cold, hollow exhaustion. Every muscle aches with the tension of the long night. The horses stumble occasionally, their legs trembling with fatigue. No word is spoken. There is nothing left to say between them. They are bound now by a pact of blood and silence. The forest swallows them again, the trees closing in like walls. It feels different now, less threatening, more like a silent tomb. The shadows are long and distorted in the waning moonlight. Batu looks at his hands, half expecting to see them stained. But there is only dust, the gray, clinging dust of the mountain. The wind whispers through the pine needles, a soft, eternal hush. They are ghosts leaving a graveyard, fading into the mist. The path winds down, carrying them away from history, back to the river, back to the plains, back to the war. But a part of their souls will remain up there forever, buried beneath the grass, watching the eternal blue sky. The sound of the hooves is softer now on the pine floor. The rhythm is slow, a funeral march played in reverse. They leave the secret behind, locked in the high stone. The trees finally break apart, revealing the open riverbank. The Onon River flows silently, a ribbon of dark silk. It separates the sacred mountain from the world of men. To return to their lives, they must cross this boundary. The horses step tentatively into the freezing, black current. Icy water swirls around their legs, numbing and fast. The splashing sounds shatter the long silence of the woods. Ripples spread out, distorting the reflection of the stars. Subutai lets his gloved hand trail in the passing water. He washes away the dust of the grave from his skin. It is a ritual cleansing, a separation from the dead. The water carries the dust away, down towards the distant ocean. The current pulls at the horses, testing their weary strength. But they are strong, forged in the harsh fires of the steppe. They push through, reaching the opposite, muddy bank. Dripping and shivering, they emerge onto the flat plains again. Behind them, the mountain looms, dark and impenetrable ore. It already looks different, distant and unapproachable. The bridge between the worlds has been crossed. They are back in the realm of the living now. But something in their eyes has changed forever. They carry the weight of the night in their silent souls. The river flows on, keeping its own ancient counsel. A barrier of water now protects the secret sleep. The water drips from their stirrups, marking a dark trail on the grass. The cold wind of the open plains hits them with renewed force. It bites through their wet clothes, seeking the warmth of their skin. But they are Mongols, born of the ice and the storm. Physical discomfort is an old friend, a constant companion on the road. They ride in a loose formation now, no longer needing the tight column. The vastness of the steppe stretches out before them, an endless ocean of earth. It looks the same as it did yesterday, yet everything has changed. The soul of the land has been buried, hidden away in the dark. Subutai stares at the horizon, where the black earth meets the black sky. He wonders how the empire will survive without its beating heart. The sons of the Khan are strong, like wolves of the same pack. But wolves will fight each other when the alpha is gone. He touches the hilt of his sword, a gesture of unconscious habit. His duty does not end with the burial, it only changes form. He must now protect the legacy as fiercely as he protected the man. The silence of the plains is different from the silence of the forest. It is a wide, open silence, filled with the whisper of the grass. It does not hide secrets. It exposes them to the eternal sky. Every warrior in the unit feels the crushing weight of their knowledge. They carry a map in their minds that must be burned and forgotten. Batu looks at the other men, their faces shadowed and grim. They are no longer just soldiers in a unit. They are a brotherhood of the tomb, bound by a fatal trust. If one speaks, all are betrayed. The secret is a fragile glass, A lone wolf howls in the far distance, a mournful, wavering cry. It sounds like a lament for the passing of the great wolf. The horses prick their ears, turning towards the sound in the dark. But they do not slow down. The rhythm of the march is constant. Thud, thud, thud. The hooves beat against the hard, packed soil. It is the heartbeat of the army, the pulse of the conquest. They are riding back towards the great encampment, days away. Back to the noise, the fires, the politics, and the wars. But for now, they exist in this limbo, this space between worlds. The moon begins its slow descent, sliding down the western sky. The shadows of the horses stretch out long and thin before them. They look like spirits skimming across the surface of the world. A sense of unreality settles over the group like a heavy fog. Did they really just bury the master of the world in a hole? Or was it a collective dream, a hallucination born of grief? Only the mud on their boots and the emptiness of the cart remain real. The cart, the empty wooden shell that rattles softly behind them. It seems lighter now, bouncing slightly on the uneven ground. Its purpose is fulfilled, its burden delivered to eternity. Subutai decides they will burn the cart before they return. Nothing that touched the final journey should remain in the world. Fire cleanses everything, erasing the last physical traces. They ride on, a dark arrow shot into the heart of the night, moving deeper into the void, guarding the silence with their lives. Subutai raises a fist, bringing the column to a sudden halt. They are in the middle of nowhere, a sea of black grass. It is time to sever the final physical link to the grave. The empty cart stands silent, a wooden ghost in the dark ore. Two warriors dismount and unhitch the tired, sweating horses. The animals step away, grateful to be free of the heavy burden. Subutai dismounts slowly, his boots crunching on the dry soil. He approaches the cart with a solemn, ritualistic pace. He runs his hand along the rough wood one last time. This wood carried the weight of the world's greatest conqueror. Now, it must become smoke and ash, like the body it bore. He signals to a warrior who carries a flint and steel. The sharp strike of metal creates a shower of gold sparks. They fall onto a small pile of dry grass beneath the axle. A small, orange tongue of flame licks at the dry tinder. It grows quickly, hungry and bright in the absolute darkness. The fire catches the dry wood of the wheel first awe. A crackling sound breaks the silence of the vast plains. It sounds like the snapping of old bones in the fire. The flames climb higher, wrapping the cart in a warm embrace. Light floods the immediate area, pushing back the shadows. It reveals the exhausted, dirt-streaked faces of the men. Their eyes reflect the dancing flames, burning with strange intensity. The heat washes over them, a brief comfort in the cold. But they do not step closer to the warmth. They stand back. This is not a campfire for warming frozen hands. It is a funeral pyre for an object, a ritual of erasure. The heavy wool blanket catches fire, sending up thick black smoke. The smoke rises straight up, a gray pillar to the stars. It carries the scent of burning wool and old, dry wood. Subutai watches the structure collapse inward with a loud crash. Sparks fly upward, joining the stars for a brief moment. The cart is losing its shape, becoming raw energy and light. The secret is being purified by the element of fire. Soon, there will be nothing left but a pile of gray ash. The wind will scatter the ash before the sun rises. No one will ever know what burned here this night. The fire begins to die down, its furious energy spent. The orange glow fades to a dull, pulsing, angry red. The darkness rushes back in to reclaim the space. Subutai turns away from the dying embers, his face set. He swings himself back into his saddle with a heavy sigh. The order is given to move, to leave the light behind. They ride away, leaving the red eye of the fire glowing. It watches their backs as they disappear into the gloom. The night is darker now after the brightness of the flames. Their eyes slowly adjust again to the monochrome world. The journey continues, mile after silent, endless mile. They are lighter now, unburdened by the physical weight but the weight on their souls has only grown heavier. The red glow of the fire is swallowed by the distance behind them. They are alone again in the absolute, crushing blackness of the steppe. The cold seems to have teeth now, biting through layers of wool and fur. It settles into the joints, making every movement stiff and painful. Subutai shifts his weight in the saddle, trying to find a moment of ease. But there is no comfort to be found on this road, only endurance. The silence between the men is heavier than the armor they wear. It is a silence filled with words that can never be spoken aloud. Each man retreats into the fortress of his own mind. They replay the events of the night over and over again. Did we hide him well enough to fool the spirits of the earth? Did we leave any trace, any footprint, any broken twig? The questions circle in their heads like vultures waiting to feed. Batu rubs his eyes with a gloved hand, fighting the urge to sleep. To sleep now would be to invite dreams he is not ready to face. He looks at the back of the rider in front of him. The rhythm of the horse's tail, swaying, is hypnotic and steady. Swish, 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 a pendulum counting down the hours. The air is so clear that the stars look like holes in the sky. Through them, the light of heaven pours down onto the cold ground. They say the Khan was born with a clot of blood in his hand, a sign that he would grasp the world and never let it go. Now, his hands are empty, open to the soil and the roots. The thought is dizzying, a precipice in the mind. How can the world continue to turn without its axis? The wind picks up again, blowing from the frozen north. It carries the scent of snow that has not yet fallen all. It whistles through the dry grass, a high, lonely sound. The horses lower their heads against the gust, narrowing their eyes. Frost begins to form on the warriors' mustaches and eyebrows. They look like ancient statues frozen in time and motion. Their breath trails behind them in long, white ribbons. These ribbons of steam vanish quickly, consumed by the dry air, just as their deeds tonight must vanish from human memory. Subutai feels a sudden, sharp pang of deep grief. It hits him not like a blow, but like a sudden lack of air. He remembers the Khan's eyes, sharp as a hawk's, seeing everything. Who will see for them now? Who will lead the pack? The horizon is a blurry line where the black earth meets the black sky. They are riding into a void, a space where nothing exists yet. The future is unwritten, a blank page waiting for blood. But for now, There is only the ride, the cold, and the dark. The repetitive motion of the gallop becomes a form of meditation. The mind detaches from the body, floating above the plain. They are no longer 40 men. They are a single entity, a moving shadow traversing the skin of the sleeping world. The night stretches on, seemingly infinite and without end. They ride towards a dawn that feels a lifetime away. The exhaustion begins to play tricks on the mind's eye. Shapes seem to move in the peripheral vision, darting and shifting. A bush becomes a crouching spy waiting to strike. A rock transforms into a wolf ready to leap. Batu shakes his head violently, trying to clear the cobwebs. He must stay awake. To sleep in the saddle is to fall, and to fall tonight is to be left behind in the void. The steppe is a canvas where the mind paints its fears. The silence is so absolute it starts to sound like a roar. It is the roar of blood rushing through tired, constricted veins. The moon hides behind a veil of thin, high clouds thar. The light becomes diffused, turning the world into a gray dream. Subutai notices the head of his horse dipping lower and lower. He leans forward, whispering a soft word of encouragement. "Ooh. On, my brother, on. Just a little further." The horse flicks an ear back, acknowledging the familiar voice. They share the fatigue, passing it between them like a burden. The bond between a Mongol and his horse is older than stone. It is a connection of sweat, blood, and shared survival. Without the horse, the man is nothing on this vast ocean ball. Without the man, the horse is just prey for the wolves. Together, they are the engine of history, moving through the dark. The wind shifts direction, coming now from the east. It brings a faint, almost imperceptible scent of wood smoke. Is it a distant camp? A shepherd's lonely fire? Or is it the ghost of the cart they just burned? The smell vanishes as quickly as it came, lost in the gale. Paranoia tightens its grip on the hearts of the warriors. Every scent is a warning, every sound a potential threat. They are the hunters, but tonight they feel like the hunted dual, hunted by their own consciences and the weight of the secret. The stars wheel overhead, marking the slow passage of time. The Great Bear hangs heavy and low in the northern sky. Oh, it points the way home, but home feels like a foreign land. How can they return to normal life after this night? How can they laugh and drink when they know where the god lies? The secret isolates them, building a wall around their souls. They are a brotherhood of silence, separated from all others. A clinking of metal against metal rings out in the quiet. A stirrup hitting a scabbard, a small but startling sound, ooh. Heads turn instantly, eyes wide and searching in the gloom. But there is no enemy, only the clumsiness of fatigue. They settle back into the rhythm, the mesmerizing sway. The ride is an endless loop a circle without a closing. Darkness, wind, cold, and the steady beat of hooves. The elements of their world are reduced to these four things. They ride through the gray soup of the pre-dawn hours, waiting for a sun that seems unwilling to rise again. The eastern horizon begins to bleed a faint, deep violet. It is the first, shy whisper of the morning sun. The darkness does not retreat easily. It fights for every inch of the sky. But the light is inevitable, a slow, silent tide rising against the night. Subutai blinks, his eyes gritty and red from the biting wind. He sees the silhouette of the mountains, behind them changing shape. They are no longer monsters, but simple, jagged stones again. The world is shedding its nightmare skin to reveal the reality. Ooh. A small bird begins to sing, a tentative, solitary note in the vastness. It pierces the thick silence like a needle through heavy cloth. The warriors lift their heads, drawn by the ancient signal of life. Daylight brings safety, or at least the comforting illusion of it. The frost on their heavy furs begins to sparkle like crushed glass. It is a cold, hard beauty that offers no warmth to the bone. They have ridden through the valley of the shadow, and they have emerged on the other side, still breathing. The horses sense the change, their pace quickening ever so slightly. They smell the coming day, the promise of rest and water. But for the men, the light brings a new kind of quiet fear, the fear of being seen, the fear of the revealing sun. In the dark, they were ghosts. In the light, they are men again. And men can be questioned. Men can be read by others. Subutai scans the vast expanse for any sign of movement. The steppe is empty, a brown ocean waiting for the waking tide. The secret is safe for now, hidden by the miles of distance. The sun breaks the horizon line, a thin slice of burning gold. It blinds them momentarily, washing away the gray fatigue. They squint against the sudden, overwhelming brilliance. The long night is finally over, but the burden remains. The golden disk of the sun pulls itself fully free from the earth. It hangs low and heavy, casting a warm, ruddy light on the plains. The long shadows of the night finally retreat into the crevices of the earth. Heat begins to touch the frozen leather of their armor, stiff and cold. It is a gentle caress, waking the blood in their numb limbs. The frost on the horses' manes turns to liquid diamonds. Drop by drop, it falls, watering the thirsty, dry roots below. The world is returning to color after hours of gray monotony. The grass reveals its true shade of faded, winter-kissed gold. The sky shifts from black to a piercing, endless azure blue. Batu blinks, the brightness stinging his tired, red-rimmed eyes. He looks at his hands, expecting to see them changed by the deed. But they are the same hands that held the reins yesterday. The world has not ended. It has simply turned a new page. A skylark shoots up from the grass, singing a frantic, joyful song. It climbs an invisible ladder of air, celebrating the return of light. The sound is jarring against the somber mood of the procession. Life goes on, indifferent to the death of emperors. The river they left behind is now just a silver thread in the distance. The mountain is a blue shadow, fading into the memory of the sky. They are moving back into the realm of the living, step by step. Subutai loosens his heavy fur collar, letting the air touch his neck. He takes a deep breath, tasting the sunlight and the dust. The heavy, mystical atmosphere of the night evaporates like the mist. What remains is the hard, dry reality of the day. The silence changes quality. It is no longer secretive, but vast. Insects begin to buzz in the warming air, a low, constant drone. It is the sound of the steppe waking up to its daily struggle. A hawk circles high above, a tiny speck against the blue. It watches them, perhaps wondering why they ride so grimly. They pass a herd of wild gazelles grazing in the distance. The animals lift their heads, ears twitching, then return to the grass. To them, the Khan was just another predator on the plain. Now he is part of the grass they eat, part of the cycle. This realization settles into the minds of the warriors. They are not just burying a man, they are feeding the earth. The sun climbs higher, bleaching the color from the horizon. The air begins to shimmer with the rising heat of the day. Mirages start to dance on the edge of vision, watery and false. They ride through pools of non-existent water, dry and dusty. The rhythm of the hooves changes, becoming looser, less urgent. The danger of the immediate discovery has passed with the dark. Now comes the danger of memory, the danger of the long return. Batu shifts in his saddle, his muscles crying out for rest. But there is no order to stop, only the relentless forward motion. They must put as much distance as possible between them and the grave ore. The sun is a relentless eye that sees all, judging nothing. Under its gaze, they are just 40 men on 40 tired horses etel, riding away from a hole in the world that no one will ever find. The sun hangs at the very top of the sky, a burning white eye. There is nowhere to hide from its relentless, searching gaze. The heat beats down like a heavy hammer on an anvil of earth. It presses against the shoulders, weighing down the spirit. The shadows have retreated beneath the bellies of the horses. They are riding on small, moving pools of their own darkness. The air shimmers violently, distorting the shapes of the distant hills. It looks as if the horizon is melting into liquid gold. Thirst begins to scratch at the back of the throat, dry and sharp. It is a persistent itch that cannot be fully soothed. Subutai unhooks a worn leather flask from his saddle horn. The water inside is warm and tastes strongly of the cured hide. He takes a small, measured sip, just enough to wet his tongue. Discipline is water, and water is life on the open steppe. He passes the flask to the man beside him without a single word. The bond of the shared drink is a silent, sacred oath. Ooh. They are united by the thirst, the heat, and the secret. The dust kicked up by the hooves hangs in the stagnant air. It coats their eyelashes and fills the creases of their faces. They look like statues made of clay, cracking in the sun. The silence of the noon hour is different from the silence of the night. It is a buzzing, heavy silence filled with the drone of flies. Oh, nature herself seems to be resting, hiding from the heat. Only the Mongols ride on, driven by a duty stronger than the sun. Batu closes his eyes for a moment, letting the horse guide him. He sees the cool, dark river in his mind, a fleeting mirage. The memory of the cold water is a torment and a comfort. The leather of the saddles is hot to the touch, burning the hand. The smell of horse sweat is thick, pungent, and earthy. It is the smell of labor, the smell of the long road home. A lizard darts across the path, a flash of green on brown. It vanishes into a crack in the dry earth, seeking the shade. Even the smallest creatures know the wisdom of rest. But there is no rest for the guardians of the Khan. They must put days of riding between them and the mountain. Oh, the landscape repeats itself, mile after endless mile. Brown grass, gray stone, blue sky, and white sun. It is a hypnotic, rolling pattern that dulls the mind. Time seems to stretch out, losing its meaning and shape. Are they moving forward, or is the world moving beneath them? The rhythmic creak of the leather becomes a lullaby. Creak, thud, creak, thud, cree. The song of the journey. Subutai keeps his eyes fixed on a distant landmark. A lone, twisted rock formation that looks like a sleeping camel. It seems to get no closer, no matter how long they ride. It is a test of patience, a test of the will to endure. The mind wanders to the future, to the inevitable questions. What will they say when they return to the great camp? They will say, nothing. They will be the silence in the noise. They will be the void where the answer should be. The sun begins its slow slide down the other side of the sky. The angle of the light changes, softening the harsh edges. They ride on, enduring the furnace of the day, waiting for the mercy of the evening cool to return. The sun begins to loosen its fierce grip on the world. It slides down the western curve of the sky, growing larger and softer. The harsh white light deepens into a rich, heavy gold. It paints the dry grass in shades of amber and burnished copper. The heat rises from the ground, replaced by a gentle, cooling breeze. Subutai unbuttons the top clasp of his heavy coat. The air touches his skin like a cool, wet cloth, bringing relief. The horses lower their heads, sensing the end of the day's labor. Their breathing slows, matching the calming rhythm of the evening. Shadows begin to stretch out again across the endless plains wool. But these are not the scary shadows of the night. They are soft. They lengthen like dark fingers reaching out to touch the east. The world feels suspended in a bowl of golden syrup. It is the magic hour, the brief time between the furnace and the freeze. Batu watches a hawk floating on the thermal currents above. Its wings are tipped with gold fire by the setting sun. He feels a strange sense of peace settle over his tired heart, or the secret is safe, the mission is done, they are still alive. The anxiety of the night and the misery of the noon fade away. Now there is only the beauty of the dying day. The grass whispers a softer song now, swaying in the breeze. It sounds like a lullaby for the weary travelers. The colors of the steppe become incredibly vivid and sharp. Ooh! Every blade of grass, every stone, stands out in high definition. The purple flowers of the wild thyme glow like scattered gems. The scent of crushed sage rises from beneath the horses' hooves. It is a spicy, earthy perfume that clears the mind. They pass a small, calm lake reflecting the burning sky. The water is a mirror of fire, perfectly still and silent. They do not stop, but the sight cools their parched spirits. Ooh! The reflection of the riders travels with them on the water's surface. For a moment, there are 80 warriors, half real, half dream. The duality of their existence is painted on the lake. Guardians of the dead and survivors of the living world. The sun touches the horizon line, beginning its final descent. The golden light turns to a deep, bruising orange. It spills across the land like wine from a broken cup. Ooh. The horizon looks like a forge where the night is being hammered. Subutai signals for the column to slow its pace. They will not ride through this night. They will rest. The body has limits, even for the iron men of the horde. They need to sleep, to let the reality of the deed settle, to dream of normal things, of sheep and yurts and milk. The horses whinny softly, smelling the potential for rest. They are tired, their coats matted with dust and sweat. The group moves towards a sheltered hollow near a rock outcrop. It offers protection from the wind that will come with the dark. The transition from day to night is a slow, majestic theater. They are the only audience in this vast, empty theater, watching the curtain fall on the longest day of their lives. The violet light of dusk quickly deepens into the true blue of night. They reach the shelter of the rocky hollow just as the first stars appear. The order to dismount is the sweetest sound they have heard in days. 40 men slide from their saddles in a synchronized, heavy motion. Their boots hit the ground with a dull, wary thud. Legs that have gripped leather for hours are stiff and protesting. But the horses come first, always the horses before the men. Saddles are removed, revealing the dark, sweaty outlines on the animals' backs. Ooh. They are rubbed down with dry grass, a rough but caring massage. The smell of the horses is comforting, a familiar scent of home. Only when the beasts are fed and watered do the men turn to themselves. A small fire is built in the deepest part of the depression. It is kept low, hidden from the prying eyes of the open plain. The flames crackle softly, a sound like tearing silk in the quiet. The men gather around it, drawn to the light like moths. Faces that were masks of stone all day finally begin to soften. They chew on dried meat and hard curd, softening it with tea. The food is simple, but tonight it tastes like a royal feast. Ooh. There is very little talking. Words are too heavy for tired tongues. They communicate in nods, in shared looks, in passing the flask. The absence of the cart is felt by everyone in the circle. The space where it should be feels empty, a hole in the camp. But there is also a lightness, a freedom from the physical burden. Subutai sits slightly apart, his back resting against a cold stone. He watches his men, these wolves who have become shepherds of a secret. He sees the exhaustion etched into the lines around their eyes. Young Batu is already asleep, wrapped in his heavy sheepskin coat. He sleeps the deep, dreamless sleep of the innocent and the weary. The firelight dances on his face, making him look like a child again. One by one, the others succumb to the pull of the earth. They curl up on the hard ground, finding comfort in the soil. The wind blows over the lip of the hollow, unable to reach them on. They are safe here for a few precious hours of oblivion. The guard is set, 2 men watching the darkness with heavy eyes. The rest drift away, leaving the waking world behind. The camp becomes a pile of breathing furs under the stars. The only movement is the flicker of the dying embers and the slow chewing of the horses in the shadows. Peace, real and heavy, finally descends upon the unit. They sleep in the middle of history, unaware of the time. The fire has burned down to a bed of pulsing, deep red coals. They glow like the heartbeat of the earth in the surrounding blackness. Fort. The warmth they offer is faint, barely reaching the guard's boots. He stands motionless, a silhouette carved from the night itself. His name is Kasser, a veteran of the Western campaigns. His eyes, sharp and tired, scan the invisible horizon without ceasing. The wind has dropped to a mere whisper, disturbing nothing. It is the kind of silence that amplifies the smallest of sounds. The shifting of a sleeping warrior sounds like a landslide. The breathing of the horses is a rhythmic, tidal sound. Kasser looks up at the vast, sprawling river of stars overhead. The eternal blue sky is now a tapestry of infinite diamonds. He wonders if the great Khan is already riding those celestial paths. Does he look down upon this small, huddled group of men? Or is he beyond such human concerns, lost in the light? The cold begins to seep through the layers of Khazar's felt boots. He stamps his feet softly, just enough to keep the blood moving. The sound is swallowed instantly by the hungry, vast empty space. He feels a profound sense of isolation, standing there alone. The secret they carry separates them from the rest of the world. It is a wall of glass. They can see out, but no one can see in. He looks at the mounds of fur that are his sleeping brothers. They look like small hills, like the grave they left behind. The image makes him shiver, though not from the mountain cold. Are they all just waiting to become part of the grass? A horse stamps a hoof nearby, breaking his dark reverie. Khazar turns his head slowly, checking the animals. They are standing with heads low, asleep on their feet. Even the beasts seem to understand the solemnity of the time. He reaches into his tunic and pulls out a small piece of dried curd. He chews it slowly, the salty taste grounding him in reality. The night is moving, turning on its great, silent axis. The constellation of the wolf is dipping lower in the west. It marks the passage of the hours towards the distant dawn. But dawn feels like a rumor, a promise that might be broken. Here, in the dark, only the vigil is real. Khazar adds a single, twisted branch of sagebrush to the coals. The wood hisses and pops, sending a brief spark upward. A small flame dances to life, painting his face in orange. It reveals the scars of old battles and the lines of new worry. The light pushes the darkness back, but only for a foot or two. The shadows leap and twist, looking like dancing spirits. He wraps his heavy coat tighter around his broad shoulders. He is the guardian of the sleep, the watcher of the void. His duty is to ensure that the silence remains unbroken, that the peace of the camp is not disturbed by man or beast. He leans on his spear, his eyes heavy but unblinking, waiting for the sun to return and release him from the watch. The night stretches on, a long, dark road to tomorrow. The gray light of dawn steals the stars away one by one. The camp stirs to life without a spoken command. It is a silent routine, practiced 1,000 times in war. Men roll out of their furs, their breath puffing in the cold air. Joints pop and crack, protesting the return to movement. Khazar kicks the last of the red coals into the dirt. He stomps on them until only cold, dead ash remains. No trace of their passing must be left behind all. They scatter the ashes, mixing them with the gray soil. They smooth over the sleeping spots with branches of sagebrush. Nature must look untouched, as if they were never here. The horses are saddled with efficient, quick hands. The leather is cold and stiff, resisting the straps. Batu tightens his girth, patting the horse's warm neck. He whispers a morning greeting to the beast. It is the only soft sound in the hard, cold morning. Subutai mounts first, towering above them in the gray light. He looks back at the hollow, checking for mistakes. His eyes are sharp, missing nothing in the gloom. He nods once, satisfied with the erasure. The signal is given a raised hand, a forward motion. The unit moves out, climbing up the lip of the hollow. They emerge back onto the flat, endless plain. The wind hits them immediately, waking them fully. It carries the scent of distant rain and dry grass. They ride west now, towards the heart of the empire. The sun begins to rise behind them, pushing them forward. It warms their backs, but their faces remain cold awe. The shadow of the rider stretches long ahead of him. It points the way like a dark, spectral finger. They are lighter today, faster without the cart. The pace is a steady, ground-eating trot. Distance disappears beneath the rhythmic pounding of hooves. They are closing the gap between the dead and the living, but the silence of the grave travels with them. It sits on their shoulders, heavier than any armor. They pass a herd of wild horses running free. The animals toss their manes, watching the grim men pass. Oh, Batu watches them with a sudden, sharp envy. To be a beast is to have no secrets, no history. To be a man is to carry the weight of the past. The landscape becomes more familiar now, less wild. They recognize the shape of certain hills and streams. They are entering the grazing lands of the outer clans. Civilization, or what passes for it, is drawing near. The thought brings no comfort, only a new tension. They must prepare their faces, prepare their lies. The mask must be perfect when they meet the others. They ride on, a dark wedge splitting the morning air, moving inexorably towards the world of men. The empty horizon is finally broken by a new shape. It rises from the plains like a mirage of white stone. But as they draw closer, the shapes resolve into thousands of domes. The great Ordu, the mobile city of the Mongol Empire. It stretches across the valley floor as far as the eye can see. Smoke rises from 10,000 smoke holes, a forest of gray pillars. It hangs over the valley like a man-made storm cloud. The smell hits them next, carried on the shifting wind. The scent of boiled mutton, burning dung, and unwashed wool. It is the smell of humanity, thick, pungent, and overwhelming. Subutai straightens his back, becoming the legendary general once more. He signals for the men to tighten their formation. They must arrive as a unit of iron, impenetrable and proud. Chin up, he growls, his voice rough from days of silence. You are the Khan's shadow. Act like it. Batu swallows hard, fixing his eyes on the helmet of the man ahead. His heart hammers against his ribs, a traitor in his chest. Can the others see the secret written on his face? Can they smell the grave dust on his clothes? A perimeter patrol spots them and rides out to intercept. 10 riders on fresh horses, their bows strung and ready. They approach fast, shouting challenges into the wind. But when they see the banner of the elite guard, and when they recognize the terrifying face of Subutai, they pull their horses up hard, dust flying from the hooves. Silence falls over the patrol instantly. They part like water before the prow of a great warship awe. Subutai does not slow down. He does not even look at them. He rides through the gap with the arrogance of absolute power. The patrol bows their heads, averting their eyes in respect. They do not ask where they have been. They do not ask where the covered cart has gone. Some questions are dangerous to ask and fatal to answer. The unit passes the outer ring of the massive herds. Seas of sheep and goats graze nervously, watched by boys and dogs. The noise of the camp begins to wash over them. Children shouting, blacksmiths hammering, camels groaning. It is a chaotic symphony of life that feels jarringly loud. After the sacred silence of the mountain, this noise is an assault. It scrapes against the nerves like a rough stone on skin. They ride past the first rows of white felt jurs. Women pause in their work, shading their eyes to watch. Old men look up from their games of bones, narrowing their eyes. Everyone knows that the Khan has been. Everyone is waiting for news, for a sign, for hope. The unit offers nothing. Their faces are blank walls. They ride towards the center, towards the golden tent. The heart of the empire is ahead, pulsing with anxious energy. They are bringing the final silence into the center of the noise. The crowds thin out as they approach the center of the camp. Here, the noise of the common people fades into a respectful hush. They are entering the district of the princes and generals. The golden tent, the Altan Orda, rises before them like a mountain of silk. Its heavy fabric is embroidered with threads of real gold. It shimmers in the sunlight, blinding and magnificent. Guards in polished iron armor stand, like statues at the entrance. They are the Keshig, the elite night guards, the watchers of the Khan. They see Subutai approaching and part their ranks instantly. There is no challenge issued. Subutai's face is his pass. The unit halts 50 paces from the great entrance. The horses lower their heads, their breathing heavy in the quiet. Subutai dismounts slowly, his movements stiff from the long ride. He hands his leather reins to Batu, the young guard beside him. It is a simple gesture, but it carries a heavy weight. "Wet here," he commands, his voice low and gravelly. He brushes the dust from his coat, straightening his sword belt. He walks towards the golden tent alone, a dark figure against the gold. The entrance flap is held open by two silent servants. Subutai steps across the threshold, leaving the sunlight behind. He vanishes into the cool, dark interior of the center of the world. The flap falls back into place, sealing the tent. Batu holds the general's horse, his hands trembling slightly. The beast is warm and smells of sweat, and the long road. The 39 warriors sit on their horses, waiting in silence. They are the last line of defense for a secret that is now being delivered. The sun beats down on their helmets, heating the metal. Time seems to stop again, suspended in the heat and the weight. What is happening inside that tent? Who is receiving the news that the world has changed forever? They stare at the gold embroidery, tracing the patterns with tired eyes, waiting for the final word that will set them free. The minutes drag by like hours in the baking sun. A bead of sweat rolls down Batu's temple, stinging his eye. He does not wipe it away. He stands perfectly still. The discipline of the Keshig is absolute, even in the heat. From inside the golden tent, there is no sound at all. No weeping, no shouting, no breaking of pottery. The silence of the rulers is the most terrifying sound of all. It means that the transition of power is happening in whispers or a hawk screeches high above, circling the updrafts of the camp. It is the only witness that is free to speak its mind. Finally, the heavy silk flap of the entrance moves aside. Subutai emerges into the blinding light of the afternoon. His face is a mask of calm, betraying absolutely nothing. He walks slowly back to his horse, his boots heavy on the ground. Batu hands him the reins, searching the general's eyes for a sign of. But the eyes of Subutai are deep wells, reflecting only the sky. He swings himself into the saddle with a heavy groan of leather. He looks at his 39 men, his brothers in the secret. It is done, he says, his voice barely louder than the wind. The great Khan is resting after a long hunt. The lie hangs in the air, heavy and solid as a stone wall. It is the first brick in the fortress of the legend. You are dismissed to your quarters. Subutai commands softly. Rest, eat, and forget the road you have traveled. From this moment, that road never existed. The men bow their heads in a single, fluid motion. The tension breaks like a snapped bowstring, leaving them weak. They turn their horses, breaking the tight formation at last. They drift apart, each man riding towards his own private life. The unit, the single organism of the night, dissolves into individuals. Batu feels a sudden, overwhelming wave of loneliness. The shared silence was a bond. Now he must carry it alone. He rides through the crowded lanes of the great camp. People step aside, respecting the dust on his armor. They see a warrior returning from a mission, nothing more. They do not see the ghost riding pillion behind him. He reaches his own small yurt on the edge of the district. His wife is there, stirring a pot over a fire. She looks up, her face lighting up with relief and joy. "You are back," she says, wiping her hands on her apron. "Where did the general take you? We were worried." Batu dismounts, his legs trembling as they hit the ground. He looks at her, the person he loves most in the world, and he realizes the terrible price of his duty. "Oh, we went hunting," he lies, his voice cracking slightly. "Just hunting in the north." She smiles, accepting the lie without a second thought. Why would she doubt him? He is a guard of the Khan. Batu steps into the cool darkness of his home, leaving the truth outside to wither in the sun. The sun finally vanishes completely, leaving the world in twilight. Inside the yurt, the air is warm, thick, and safe. It smells of dried herbs, warm wool, and sweet milk tea. Batu sits on the thick felt rug, his legs finally unbending. He runs his hand over the soft, colorful patterns of the fabric. It is so different from the rough, frozen ground of the mountain. His wife moves softly in the background, preparing the bed. The sounds of the camp outside are muffled and distant. A dog barks, a baby cries, a horse neighs in the picket line. These are the sounds of life, the sounds of the living empire. Batu unbuckles his sword belt, the leather heavy and familiar. He lays the weapon down next to his wooden chest. It makes a dull thud, the sound of war being put aside. He feels a strange separation from the objects around him. They are the same, but he has changed in the deep dark. He has touched the edge of eternity and come back. He lies down, pulling the heavy sheepskin cover up to his chin. The warmth spreads through his body, unknotting the tension. His muscles twitch slightly, remembering the rhythm of the ride. In the quiet dark of the yurt, the secret feels loud. It buzzes in his mind like a trapped fly against felt walls. But fatigue is a powerful tide, stronger than worry. It pulls at his eyelids, heavy and irresistible. He listens to the steady, rhythmic breathing of his wife. It is an anchor, holding him to the here and now. He is safe. The mission is over. The Khan is at peace. The images of the last few days begin to blur and soften. The mountain peak becomes a cloud in his mind. The dark river becomes a ribbon of spilled ink. The fire of the burning cart becomes a distant star. Sleep creeps in from the edges of his consciousness. Oh, it is a black velvet curtain falling on a stage. His breathing slows, matching the rhythm of the night. He is no longer a guardian, no longer a warrior. He is just a man drifting on the sea of dreams. The secret sinks down into the depths of his subconscious. It will be there when he wakes, but for now, it sleeps too. Outside, the wind picks up, brushing against the felt walls. It whispers the same song it sang on the high plateau. But here, it is a song of protection, not of exposure. The camp settles into the deep silence of the middle night. Thousands of souls resting under the vast, watching sky. And far away, to the north, the mountain stands alone. It holds its new treasure in a grip of stone and ice. The connection between the sleeper and the mountain breaks gently. Batu drifts away, carried on the current of the dark gore. The night claims him, wrapping him in its soft, forgetful arms. Days turn into weeks, and weeks bleed slowly into months. The great camp moves on, following the rhythm of the grass. Behind them, the northern wilderness reclaims its ancient solitude. The scars on the earth, made by the trampling hooves, begin to heal. The wind acts as a gardener, blowing wild seeds into the broken soil. Small green shoots rise up, reclaiming the bare patches of brown dirt. Nature does not mourn the passing of kings. It simply continues. The first heavy snows of winter arrive on the back of a biting wind. They cover the high plateau in a thick, pristine blanket of white. The landscape becomes a featureless sheet of blinding, frozen purity. The burnt remains of the cart are buried deep beneath the drifts. Ice forms on the river Onan, locking the secret behind a crystal wall. The mountain sleeps under the ice, silent and impregnable. Wolves return to their hunting grounds, leaving fresh tracks in the snow. They do not know they are walking over the master of the world. To them, the ground is just ground, cold and hard and real. In the south, the empire he built continues to expand and bleed. Messengers ride fast horses, carrying orders sealed with his red seal. But the hand that held the seal is now part of the frozen earth. The legend of the Khan begins to grow larger than the man ever was. Stories are told around 1,000 fires in 1,000 different camps. They say he is not dead, but sleeping, waiting to return. They say he rode into the sky on a horse made of lightning. Batu sits by his own fire, listening to these wild, impossible tales. He says nothing, sipping his tea, staring deep into the orange flames. He knows the truth is quieter, colder, and far more profound. The truth is a patch of grass under a twisted, silent pine tree. Spring returns, melting the snow into rushing torrents of cold water. The water washes away the last traces of the ash and the charcoal. The grass grows tall and lush, fed by the hidden history below. Wildflowers bloom in a riot of blue and yellow over the secret site. It becomes the most beautiful spot on the entire mountain range. But no human eyes are there to see the beauty of the bloom. It is a secret garden planted for the spirits alone. The trees grow a new ring of wood, marking the passing year. The roots of the pine tree reach deeper, embracing the silence. The forest forgets the sound of the axes and the heavy wheels. Birds build their nests in the branches that once watched the burial. life creates a new layer over the death, sealing it in forever. Ooh. The timeline of the earth is long, and men are but a blink. Generations will be born and die, while the mountain stands watch. The secret moves from memory into the realm of the unknowable. It becomes part of the wind that sings through the high passes, part of the water that flows down to the endless plains. The Khan has become the land itself, vast and eternal. He is the storm, the drought, the grass, and the sky, and the silence of the grave is the loudest voice of all. The wheel of time turns relentlessly, grinding mountains into sand. Years flow by like the endless waters of the Onon River. The hair of the young warriors turns the color of winter frost. Their backs, once straight as lances, begin to bend like old bows. The 40 guardians are slowly reclaimed by the earth they serve. One by one, the flames of their lives flicker and go out. Subutai, the dog of war, eventually meets his final peace. He dies not in battle, but in the quiet of his bed. He takes the map of the hidden path with him into the dark. With every death, the secret becomes safer, buried deeper in the void. The brotherhood of the night dwindles until only a few remain. They meet rarely, at festivals or great gatherings of the clans. They look into each other's clouded eyes and simply nod. There is no need for words. The memory is etched in their souls, but the memory is fading like an old painting left in the sun. Details blur. Was the tree a pine or a larch? Was the moon full, or was it a crescent hook? The mind softens the sharp edges of the past to protect itself. Batu is now an old man, his hands trembling with age. He sits outside his yurt, watching the grandchildren play with bones. They ask him for stories of the great Khan, the conqueror. He tells them of the battles, the horses, and the glory, but he never speaks of the cold mountain or the wooden cart. He looks towards the north, his eyes watery and dim. The mountain is just a blue shape on the horizon now. It feels like a place from a dream he once had. Did he really ride those 40 miles in the dark? Or was it a spirit journey, a vision sent by the sky? The reality of the night has dissolved into the mist of time. The empire has changed. New Khans sit on the golden throne. They build cities of stone, forgetting the ways of the felt tent. The old ways are dying, retreating into the history books. But the land remembers what the people have forgotten. The grass roots still hold the vibration of the horse's hooves. The wind still sings the song of the secret procession. Batu feels the call of the ancestors growing stronger every day. He knows his watch is coming to an end. He is the last leaf clinging to the winter branch. When he falls, the door will be closed forever. The secret will pass from history into mythology. It will become a ghost story to frighten children in the dark. and the great Khan will finally be truly alone, safe from the worship, the hatred, and the digging of men. Batu smiles, closing his eyes against the setting sun. He is ready to join his brothers in the eternal silence. The inevitable night finally comes for Batu, as it comes for all men. He lies in his bed, his breathing shallow and rattling like dry leaves. The heavy felt of the yurt muffles the wind outside, keeping the world at bay. His family surrounds him, weeping softly in the flickering lamplight. But Batu is already far away, riding a ghost horse on the high plains. He sees the faces of his 40 brothers, young and strong again. They are waiting for him on the banks of the dark, glossy river. Subutai is there, nodding his head in a silent, welcoming greeting. The secret he has guarded for 60 years feels light now. It is lifting from his chest, dissolving like smoke in the rain. He tries to speak one last time, to whisper a final prayer, but the words are caught in his throat, staying inside forever. His heart gives one last, slow beat, then settles into silence. The last living map to the tomb is erased from the world. The chain is broken. The link to the location is severed. At that exact moment, miles away to the north, the wind shifts. A gust blows through the branches of the ancient pine tree. It sounds like a sigh of relief from the mountain itself. The burden of human knowledge is finally gone. Now only the earth knows, and the earth never speaks. The location of the grave slides instantly into the realm of the lost. It is no longer a place that can be found by feet or eyes. It is just a coordinate in the vast, chaotic geometry of nature. The weeping in the yurt grows louder as they realize he is gone. They mourn the grandfather, the teller of stories. They do not know they have just lost the key to history. They bury him with honor, but without the secret he carried. Batu takes the path of the hidden valley to the grave The secret dies with the flesh, returning to the dust. The great Khan is truly safe now, protected by oblivion. No map, no text, no song, no memory remains. The slate is wiped clean, perfectly white and blank. The mission of the 40 warriors is finally, completely accomplished. They have successfully stolen the emperor from the world. Centuries drift like white clouds across the face of the eternal sky. The wooden cart has long since dissolved into the atoms of the soil. The bones of the horses are now white dust mixed with the roots. Empires rise and fall. Maps are drawn and redrawn by conquering hands. But the forbidden zone, the Khorig, remains a blank space. It is a sanctuary guarded not by men, but by the superstition of ages. Modern explorers come with their machines and their electronic eyes. They scan the earth with radar, looking for the hollows of the dead. Satellites stare down from the black void of space, unblinking and cold. They map every river, every ridge, every shadow of the great steppe. Ooh. But the land refuses to yield its ancient, buried treasure. It offers them only false leads, strange magnetic anomalies, and silence. The mountain keeps its promise to the 40 warriors of the past. The grave is not just hidden, it has become part of the geology. To find him, one would have to unmake the mountain itself. Legends speak of a curse for those who disturb the final sleep. So the locals stay away, averting their eyes from the sacred peaks. The name of Genghis Khan is shouted in the streets of the world, but his body rests in a silence so deep it is deafening. He is everywhere in the blood of millions, a genetic ghost, but nowhere in the physical realm of monuments and museums. He has achieved what the pharaohs of Egypt could not achieve. He has escaped the display cases and the flashing cameras of tourists. He remains a king in his own private, dark kingdom. The wind that blows through the valley today is the same wind. It remembers the taste of the smoke from the burning cart. It whispers the secret to the grass, but the grass does not tell. Technological eyes are blind to the magic of the sworn oath or the mystery attracts the curious like moths to a distant flame, but they only find the vast, indifferent beauty of the wilderness. The steppe is a vault that has lost its key. The pine tree may have fallen, replaced by its children's children. The river may have shifted its course, carving new banks, but the geography of the secret remains etched in the spirit world. It is a masterstroke of strategy, played from beyond the grave. The greatest conqueror is also the greatest escape artist. He vanished into the blue sky, leaving only a shadow behind. The world chases the shadow, but can never catch the man. The 40 warriors sleep peacefully in their own forgotten graves, knowing that their mission is still successful, even today. They defeated time, they defeated history, they defeated curiosity. The seal remains unbroken, the silence remains pure. The night falls over the modern world, just as it did then. And under the cover of darkness, the mystery breathes. It is a living thing, protected by the vastness of Mongolia. We are reaching the end of our journey into the dark, standing on the edge of a secret that will never be solved. We leave the sleeping king to his eternal, private rest, respecting the wish of the man who wanted to be forgotten, and in being forgotten, became truly immortal. And so, our journey across the ancient steppes comes to its quiet end. We leave the riders, the horses, and the secrets in the mist of time. They have faded back into the history from which they came. Now, the silence of the Mongolian night belongs to you. The heavy burden of the secret has been laid down. There is nothing left to carry, nothing left to guard. Your mind is free to drift away from the world of men, just like the smoke from a dying fire, rising into the stars. Let your breathing become slow and deep, like the wind on the plains. Inhale the peace of the mountain. Exhale the worries of the day. You are safe here, wrapped in the comfort of the night. The stars are watching over you, blinking their silent lullaby. Let your eyelids grow heavy, heavier than the warrior's armor. Let your muscles relax, sinking into the softness of your bed. There are no more miles to ride, no more rivers to cross, Sue. Only the gentle, dark current of sleep awaits you. Drift down the river of dreams, towards a restful oblivion. The story is finished, but your rest is just beginning. Close your eyes and let the darkness hold you. Sleep now, traveler of time. Sleep, good night.